Live from Liverpool, we need to talk about ghosts with Kevin Eustace.
Well, it's time once again for the Sunday sermon. Yes, it is indeed. I've already experienced a series of, what would you say, bad scenarios in this little office that we're recording today. So far, I've managed to pull down the blind, which in turn hit a cactus. Yes, because that's the thing you keep here. Which that in turn, with its long spangly arms, hit a glass full of water. So we're having so much good fun so far today that I need to talk about ghosts to get my mind off the obvious curse I'm under. I hope that you're all fantastic and you've had a great week. Here in the UK, we've started to relax lockdown laws a bit more. So you may have seen that people can now go out and have a drink as long as it's outside. And that's resulted in carnage in Liverpool. Yes, it has. Everywhere is rammed like there's no pandemic. And like we walked around town yesterday and I pointed out to Becca, like 95% of the people who were rammed into these places, these outside areas, they're under 50. Now, currently it's only the over 50s who've been vaccinated. I know there's a few people underneath who, for whatever reason, have had the vaccination too. But largely, it's only people over 50 who've been vaccinated. So, I think we're going to head for a fourth spike. How about yous? Can I get a F? F. Can I get a O? I'm not spelling fourth spike up, but you get it. So, yeah, that's something to look forward to. And also, I seen something which I thought was only myth and folklore. Yes, I did. We walked along the River Mersey yesterday. And I've heard about this happen, and I've seen YouTube videos of it happening, but I didn't know it was a genuine phenomena. I seen a seagull rob someone's ice cream. Only in Liverpool, baby. Only in Liverpool. Yeah, there was some poor kid, about 4 years old, like, thanks for my cornet, mummy. Look at it, lovely. Swoop. Mum, I've got no ice cream. And it flew off, literally with the cornet side on in its mouth. And then after about, say, 10 foot of flying, there was a big drop from the sky as the lump of the whippy, ice creamy head fell onto the floor. So they didn't even want the ice cream. They just wanted to be an arsehole. So well done, arsehole seagulls everywhere. Another one for the team. There's actually a video on YouTube of a seagull going into Greggs, which is like a pastry manufacturer's. It's like they sell pasties and what else would you say? Like sausage rolls and stuff like that. There's a video on YouTube of a seagull literally walking into Greggs through the automatic doors, picking up a pack of salt and vinegar crisps and flying off. Seriously. Check it out. And that's in Liverpool too. We train our seagulls well here. Anyway, none of this is spooky. I mean, it kind of is, really, if the seagulls are taking over. That's very spooky. Anyway, before they do, and we have some sort of avian leaders, shall we look at some ghosty things? I think we shall. But before that, of course, we like to check what weird and wonderful things have been happening in the last 7 days in a little segment we like to call Week in Weird.
Week in Weird.
Yes, it's that wonderful time of the week when we look at everything weird, wonderful, possibly paranormal and strange that's took place over the last 7 days. Now, I'm taking today's story from that wonderful magnitude era of truth, the Daily Star. But it's a very good story, and it's actually made me think. Yes, it has. And I'll tell you after Week in Weird of a story I was told by an ex-bandmate. But anyway, I digress. So, this says, pub landlord fears ghosts are haunting his snack van after hearing spooky voices inside. Yes, Steve Pilling said his staff at the Moortop in Stockport, Greater Manchester, are too scared to get in the van after a series of strange goings-on, including hearing ghostly sounds and cutlery moving by itself. Now, this is literally a van, like a very small van. It's not like it's a big wagon. Now, apparently, apart from the voices and the cutlery moving around, staff have also been terrified by claims the coffee machine has started up when it was switched off. Steve, 56, is now fed up of these airy incidents at the pub. He says, I never counted on anything like this. Oh, sorry, he's from Manchester. I never counted on it. I don't know how Manchester people speak. I should, it's like next door. Let me try again. Ecky thump. There we go. I never counted on anything like this. I just wanted everything to run smoothly for when we reopened. One member of staff came after the first day and said she heard a voice whispering from inside, but when she opened up, there was nobody there. Then someone else took over the shift and said they'd been arranging some pastries when all of a sudden the cutlery flew in the air and ended up spread everywhere. I've already been a bit cynical about things like this in the past, and I took a look a few times and everything seemed normal.
But then a third member of staff said as they opened up in the morning, they heard the coffee machine burst into life like it was grinding away, only to find out it had never been switched on.
That was alright accent-wise. Anyway, Steve is now trying to research the history of the spot where the van is parked in Heatonmore Village, Stockport, to learn whether it's possible the area is haunted. Oh. He says, it's not surprising the staff are reluctant to get inside the van with all this going on, but I tried to convince them that there must be some very good explanation for all that's taking place. Well, there you go. A haunted snack van. Now, as you will find out after Week in Weird when I tell you my little story of a personal friend of mine, maybe it's not the area that's haunted. But either way, that's been this week's Mancunian Week in Weird.
Week in Weird.
Obviously, we're back, by the way, just in case you didn't know. But obviously, a big apology to anyone who is Mancunian and thinks, I don't sound like that, Kevin. That sounded like Daphne from Frasier. And yes, that's largely where I took my inspiration for my Mancunian accent. It's a strange thing if you're like in the States or America or in Europe. You may not know this, or you may know this, I don't know, but there's allegedly, well, there is, it's not even allegedly, there's a huge rivalry between Liverpool and Manchester, which is strange because we would literally be the same state if we were in America, and we'd all be fighting together. But no, thanks to football mainly, apparently we're at each other's necks, which, as a musician, you don't really find, we're all quite pally, really, but football fans, we hate each other. Gavna. He says in a Cockney accent, just to throw that in the mix too. Anyway, my story. So it reminded me of this about the haunted van, or the guy's saying, is the area haunted? I don't think the area is haunted. I mean, it may well be, but I don't think that's the case in this instance. It did remind me of a guy that joined our band. I started a band after a band that I was in collapsed, sort of thing. So I was interviewing a bass player, or auditioning a bass player, if you want to use the parlance. And he was a nice lad. He turned up to the rehearsal studios and he's tuning up his bass. And as I tend to do when I meet new people, I was like, do you believe in ghosts? Let's talk about ghosts immediately. And he said, funny you should say that, which is anyone who's interested in ghosts knows. They're the words you want to hear when you say, do you believe in ghosts? Funny you should say that. Sit down. Let me tell you a wizened tale. So he says, I've just bought this van. He said, I've had it about 3 months. He said that the guy in the garage said, you won't, like, when he bought it, he said, I've need full disclosure wise. He said, this has been fixed up after a crash. He said, and that's all he said. He said, are you okay with that? So, like, well, as long as it's passed all its checks, yeah, I'm fine. He said, and that's all he said. But I asked him what work had been done. He said that the entire top had been crushed. I was like, right, bloody hell. He said, yeah, but they fixed it up. It's passed all its checks. He said, anyway, he said, the radio comes on itself. He said, I keep seeing something in the back as I'm driving around. He said, I've genuinely thought somebody's opened the car door next to me. He said, and when I've turned around, I've heard it click like it's been shut. There was loads of little weird things he was saying. He said, it's definitely haunted, like, and I was like, can we spend the night in your van? And he looked at me and said, I met you 10 minutes ago, and no, you can't. And it didn't work out. We had about 2 practices, and he left. But I always wonder, was his van haunted? It did sound like it. And that's what makes me think about this guy's van. Maybe he's like, I'll look into the area to see if there was monks hung here in the general woods 10 years ago. Or 10 years ago, hundreds of years ago. And I think, no, maybe not. Maybe your van itself might be, just like my old bass player, a haunted vehicular monstrosity. I couldn't think of a word. Anyway, so that's my little story. Scary though, isn't it? Yes, I think we'll all agree. Now, before we get into the stories proper, I want to say a big thank you to everyone who's contributed to the show since its inception, really. I've been thinking about this, and it's only where it is now because of you who listen, and it really is, and I don't say thank you enough. So I genuinely want to say thank you to everyone who submitted stories, be it now or in the past, everyone who's got in touch with feedback or comments, everyone who's left a review. It sounds like I'm ending the show, doesn't it? Don't worry, I'm not. I'm not planning to anyway. And obviously everyone who donates to the Patreon. But I do want to say a big thank you to everyone, because I always thank the Patreons, and rightly so, but I don't give enough thanks to everyone who listens. That said, I do now need to say thank you to the Patreons. So, big thank you as ever to our Patreons. You literally are keeping the show afloat. For those who don't subscribe to Patreon, please be genuinely aware that, apart from me recording it, the only reason you're listening to this for free on Apple Podcasts or wherever you're listening to it is because of Patreons, because they literally are paying now for the entirety of the podcast to be produced. So I think we all owe them a debt of gratitude. And when you do sign up to Patreon, you get 2 extra episodes a week. You get one where I just waffle and try and make you laugh, and you get another, which is a Sunday one, which will be out today, which is all about the paranormal. And we've got a bit of an ongoing case with a ghost woman, I think it's a ghost woman, that seems to keep appearing in a back garden nearby. I haven't seen anything of her today, but, you know, she tends to pop up during recordings, which is nice of her. But if you want to become a patron, go over to patreon.com/we need to talk about ghosts. And 3 wonderful people have done so this week. And I, as ever, need to say thank you via the medium of song. The guitar's out. That wasn't very loud, was it? There you go. That's proof. And today we have 3 wonderful new patrons to say thank you to. We have Peter Wood, Abby Martin, and Barbara Sinclair. And I think if you've listened to that, I hear it when I'm writing the song, you will hear the automatic cadence of Peter Wood, Abby Martin, Barbara Sinclair. So it's quite easy to write a song for those 3 people. So thank you 3 wonderful new Patreons, for having such semblance wonderful names. Here we go. Oh, I think you know where this is going. Yeah. Peter Wood, Abby Martin, Barbara Sinclair. Yeah. Peter Wood, Abby Martin, Barbara Sinclair. You keeping the show afloat. And I want to say thank you the most to Peter Wood and Abby Martin, Barbara Sinclair. Peter Wood and Abby Martin, Barbara Sinclair. Oh, I ended that on a wrong chord, didn't I? It was still a 7th. However, I think that we will all go to bed tonight singing Peter Wood, Abby Martin, Barbara Sinclair. That's a really nice, catchy tune, that. So I'm also available for jingles, by the way. I'm not really. Just let me put that down. There you go. The guitar is down and safe. I always say that and then it slides over and crashes. Anyway, that's all redundant. Thank you very much to Peter Wood, Abby Martin, Barbara Sinclair. So if you want to become a patron, as I say, you will get loads of extra content each and every week. 2 extra episodes a week. I'll be honest with you, that's a lot of content. There's about 130, maybe, episodes on there for you to go and binge. Why don't you go and do it? And you're also supporting the show for everyone else. Hooray! Anyway, thank you guys. Head over to patreon.com/we need to talk about ghosts. And speaking of which, shall we? And we are back, and we're getting right into the ghosty stuff. Yes, indeed we are. Let's jump right in, no holding back. Boom! So our first email today comes in from the Marlena Effect. I like it, and I do hope that that's your legal name. Yes, I'd love to see your credit cards. Anyway, this is entitled My Own Haunting in Connecticut. Hello, Kevin, Matt, and Becca. I like it when people start including Matt on the welcomes. It really makes my day. So, hello, Kevin. Hi. Hello, Matt. Oi. Yeah, it's when I do that because I can't do a Cockney accent. Hold on. I'll try that again. Hello, Kevin. Hello. Hello, Matt. Oi. Hello, Becca. Hello. I've had so many experiences. Some are pretty out there. Let me start by saying I am from the... Oh, it's a tribe. M-I-KMAQ tribe. Now, I really don't want to offend anybody, so I'm going to go with Mi'kmaq. That's how it looks like it sounds. I apologize. Certainly no offense meant if it's not. So I am from the Mi'kmaq tribe, and spirituality is a big part of my life, and always has been since the jump. Now, I imagine, and that means since the start, I imagine. So, this is the Marlena Effect's email. My own haunting in Connecticut. I seriously don't know where to start. Okay, how about when I was from the ages of 8 to 11, we lived in a very haunted house in Connecticut. Okay, so we moved into an apartment which was a house with 3 floors. We lived on the 3rd floor. My cousin's on the 2nd floor, and our landlord and his wife on the 1st floor. Like most kids back in the day, we were latchkey kids. When we came home from school, our landlady would have my sister and I come help her with whatever she was cooking for supper, and she always baked us treats. On one of those days, my sister and I were chasing each other round the table playing kind of like tag. In the kitchen there was a door to a bedroom that was always locked, but this day it wasn't. So my sister was running after me and I grabbed the doorknob and began to turn it. This felt like slow motion because at the time, Mary yelled, "No!" But it was too late. I was opening that door. When I flung the door open, the coldest of cold breezes whooshed past my sister and I. Enough air that our hair looked like someone turned on a fan for a second. Mary freaked out, yelling at us, oh my God, do you know what you've done? Get out of my house." We were kids. We got scared and ran up 3 flights of stairs crying our eyes out. We only opened the door. What's the harm in that? We never told our mum anything that day until 3 weeks went by, which my mum got a little suspicious because the rent was due 2 weeks prior and they never came to fetch it. Mum went down to pay, but came right back up. "That's weird," she said. "They always make sure they collect." Then my sister and I looked at each other, and we knew what the other was thinking. We have that gift like most do when someone's close to them. Then we told Mum what had happened. She said, "Put your shoes on, you're coming with me." So we go downstairs and Mum knocked on the door. No answer. Mum jiggled the lock, and it wasn't locked. These people always lock their back door even when they were home. This particular door is the door that led to the back stairwell and the kitchen. Mum opened the door and the kitchen looked exactly like it did when Mary was cooking and baking for us. The mixing bowls still had ingredients in them which were now rotten. The chicken she had on the pan was full of maggots from being left out. It was strange. They must have left in a hurry. All of their clothes were still in the closets, etc. Whatever my sister and I let out of that room that day made these people vanish. I don't know if they moved or really vanished, but they were no longer there. And what's even weirder is that they never come looking for the rent for the next 3 years we lived there. We moved from the 3rd floor to the 2nd floor, and all of us had so many haunted experiences. I have to leave right now, but I will tell you about them. Thanks for reading thus far. I love your show and was searching out people that will listen to our experiences, so thank you so much. I've also experienced a very strange entity that I'm hoping you guys can help me find others that have experienced it, but that's another story. And it happened here in Canada, not in the States. Thank you so much. Peace out. I love you all. The Marlena effect. Now, apart from that being bloody mystifying and terrifying, Marlena also says in there she has so many other things relating to that to talk about that she's willing to come on the show. So I'm saying to you here and now, Marlena, get back in touch. We're going to have you on the show because that is just the tip of the iceberg, I can tell. Wow, that's terrifying. What did you let out of that door? I just got a shiver. Just got a genuine shiver. So we definitely need to get you on the show and peer more into that depth of darkness. Yes, we do. Terrifying that though. So our next email is entitled The True Crime and Paranormal History of My Town. And it's from Sean. Hi, Kev. Hi. Hi, Becca. My name is Sean. I love the show and recently became a patron. Oh, thank you, Sean. I live in the northeast of England and I wanted to tell you the true crime/paranormal story about my hometown, Ferry Hill, and my old school. In the late 17th century, Ferry Hill was the site of a tragic murder. Andrew Mills, a servant boy, killed his employer's 3 children at Brass Farm, now High Hill House Farm, in brackets, which is now a health spa resort. Mills claimed he did not commit the crime of his own volition and claimed something not of our world told him to do it. A hideous creature like a fierce wolf with red fiery eyes. Its 2 legs were like those of a stag. Its body resembled an eagle and was supplied with 2 enormous wings. Ultimately, Mills was sentenced to death by hanging, and his tombstone is still in nearby Kirk Merrington Cemetery, which labelled him as a murderer. At the time of his sentence, his mother actually crossed out the word murderer on the stone, and that can still be seen today. So that's the true crime part of things. Now, the paranormal. So, High Hill House Farm is situated in the backdrop of my secondary school, right in the top right corner of the field. Older kids pass on stories about the farm to first years, like if you dare, on New Year's Day, run 13 times anti-clockwise around the tower of the windmill, and the spectre of Andrew Mills himself will appear, and he will chase you with his blood-stained axe. We had a since-retired caretaker at the school, we'll call him B, who told stories of hearing whispers early on in the morning in the school, and he swears once he came into work and a number of books in the library were arranged on the floor in a circle formation, There was always a sense of foreboding in the nearest toilet room, and students have reported seeing the shuffle of small feet in old-style clothing when in a cubicle. In brackets, I grant you, it could have been year 7s, haha. I have more stories if you'd like to hear them. Keep up the great work. All the best. Sean, we would like to hear them, please. I am all for stories about giant wolfy eagly stags making people commit murders. That's right in my wheelhouse. Please get your fingers to the keyboard and send me more stories in, and I think we all agree that that should happen. That is terrifying. Thank you very much, Sean. Now, Sean also, and this is amazing, provided a link to an article in the Northern Echo.co.uk, which covers the details of the story. Now, you know what it reminds me of? If anyone's ever seen the film The Witch, it's actually The Witch, but it's like 2 V's. Listen to this, because this is the true, alleged true, as reported, account of those murders and this guy's encounter with a demonic force. Listen to this. It's petrifying. I'm going to put the music behind it like it's a genuine story, because it is. It kind of fleshes out the story that Sean's just sent us. Now, remember, this took place in 1683. Okay? So this is the embellished story. John and Margaret Brass were out at a late Christmas party in Ferry Hill. They had some good news to celebrate. Their eldest daughter, Jane, was about to get married. She was, by all accounts, quite a catch. She had jet black hair, ruby lips, and was made temptingly beautiful by an archness of manners which tantalised the young farmers who spent evenings at Hill House. It was she who Andrew Mills killed first. Mills was the servant boy, aged 19. Perhaps he was besotted with her. Perhaps he was, as most accounts say, mentally insane. When roused, a dangerous light flashed from his usually dull eyes. On that fatal Thursday, he was feeding the oxen when he heard 2 voices in his head, commanding him, "Kill all, kill all." Some versions of the story say that the 3 Brass children, of which Jane was the eldest, were out playing near the windmill, and that Mills, wielding an axe, chased them through the fields to the farmhouse. Other versions say that they were already tucked up in bed on that cold January night. Either way, the terror took place in the farmhouse. Jane and her brother John, 17, and described as a cheeky and somewhat idle boy, barricaded themselves in the bedroom of Elizabeth, the youngest, aged only 10. But the wooden bedroom door proved no match for Mills' axe. It shook on its iron hinges and then splintered. Jane bravely locked her arm against the door frame to prevent Mills from entering, but another crashing blow from the axe broke her arm and sent her spinning to the floor. Mills burst in and killed her. Then he turned to John. They struggled until Mills knocked him on the head with the axe. John stumbled to the ground, his skull fractured. Mills cut his throat with a knife to finish him off. Poor Elizabeth was sobbing under the bedclothes. She had, until now, had a close relationship with Mill. She would often be seen with him playing with toys or chasing ducks around the yard. In her desperation, the 10-year-old had the presence of mind to plead with her would-be murderer. She offered him bread, butter and sugar and some toys, and Mills relented, spared her life and left the room. But in the passage outside, he encountered a hideous creature, like a fierce wolf with red fiery eyes, its 2 legs those of a stag, its body resembled an eagle, and it was supplied with 2 enormous wings. It was this dreadful apparition, the devil incarnate, which, with a most unchristian croak, uttered a rhyming couplet that sent Mills back into the bedroom to complete his terrible spree. Staring at Mills, the devil spoke and said, "Go back, thou hateful wretch, resume thy cursed knife. I long to view more blood, spare not the young one's life." And so Mills returned and murdered the young girl. Mills was convicted of murder at Durham. A report at the time quotes, "The half-witted creature gave no motive for his crimes, beyond suggesting he had done all at the suggestion of the devil himself." For this diabolical crime, he was sentenced to be hanged alive. There is then a very vivid account of how they punished him and tortured him, which I'm not going to go into on this podcast. No siree. But I think that's amazing. I think it's beautiful. Oh, well, hold on. Whoa. When I say I think it's beautiful, I mean in terms of a story and in terms of its darkness. I think anything, if you've watched The Witch with two V's, Vitch, you will know the kind of pagan beauty of this goat god being like, speaking all Shakespearean and being like, dost thou have no pants on? And things like that. And I mean, in that sort of way, it's obviously a big nope and massively terrifying. The fact that you could meet a devil and he'd be like, I'm going to tell you a poem. It's going to make you go crazy. But oh my God, Sean, sincerely, I love it when I find a story as old as that, which I've not been aware of in the past. And And that is marvellous. Obviously, effing horrific, but marvellous. So thank you so much, Sean, for getting in touch with those tales of woe. And we are going to round things off this episode with an email that may well progress and develop into a live We Need to Talk About Ghosts vigil. Yes, I'm serious. When things all die down from the naughty C word, there's a good chance we're going to end up in this haunted home and doing an episode. Or an investigation, whichever. So this email comes in from Alice, and it's entitled, in a very northern way, Is My Gaff Haunted? Well, that sounded cockney, but you get what I mean. So this is Alice's email. Hey, Kevin Becker. Hey. I hope you're both doing amazing. We're doing all right. I'd go that far. Your podcast has been amazing and has helped me so much through the last few months. Well, that's bloody humbling, and thank you very much. You're both amazing, and everything you do, the dark paranormal, and We Need to Talk About Ghosts, and the We Don't Need to Talk About Ghost episodes are great. I'm also signing up to Patreon as soon as money is better. Anyway, well, thank you, Alice. I don't know what to do when somebody says, hey, you're great. I go, oh, so are you. Oh, so are you. So are you, Alice. You're great too. So anyway, this is Alice's email. I moved into this house with my ex in about May 2019. It's a small terraced house just outside of Warrington Town Centre. 2 bedrooms and a bathroom and the kitchen are all built on an extension downstairs. It's a pretty old house, and I think it was built somewhere between 1880 and 1910. Ever since the first night in the house, we were both experiencing KOTEP, corner of the eye phenomena, and seeing black shadows moving past us, and they moved pretty fast. We also both constantly felt like we were being watched from the top of the stairs anytime we were downstairs. Anyway, we both just kind of brushed it off and ignored it because nothing bad ever happened. Keys have been moved before, but we had 2 toddlers, so we assumed it must be one of them, even though it would be uncharacteristic of either of them, to be honest. We never really spoke about it because it didn't bother us. We broke up in November 2020, a few days before my birthday. Happy birthday to me, eh? And she moved out shortly after. I'm still in that house now, and ever since I've still been experiencing the same things and feelings, but I've always smoked a lot of weed, so I put KOTEP and the weed feelings down to that. However, the last 2 months or so, I've actually been able to see/have people round again. In brackets, my depression/anxiety had been off the rails for a while, so I didn't really speak to anyone. And since I've had a few people round, in brackets, they're my support bubble, everyone who's been round have all said they've seen black shadows. They've felt like they're being watched, and people are constantly looking around as if something is moving around. A little side note, which did freak me out for a few days. My dad came round to change some lights for me, and we decided to look in the loft. There wasn't anything there except an IKEA bag, which had a basically grey board with a load of what looked like photos of the Virgin Mary and things like that stuck to it, and after finding it, I struggled to sleep for days. Like I said, none of it bothered me, and it still doesn't now. My friend Leah was the last person to come round, in brackets, last night, and she said she saw black shadows and felt the same things I have and everyone else has. What's really strange though, is that since me and my ex moved in, we never told anyone about seeing the shadows or feeling watched. Not a single person knew. Yet everyone has said to me that they've seen it, and I've never told anyone. I'd love to do a Ouija board or something and find out what's going on. If you want to come round and do something, be my guest. I only live around 30 minutes outside of Liverpool. I hope you have a great weekend and my story doesn't confuse you as much as it does me. Thanks for the most amazing podcast and please keep doing it forever. Alice. Why, thank you for the lovely sentiments at the end. We hopefully will keep doing it forever. But, we'll have to become immortal first. Anyway, back to your story. Oh my God. And I know that when you mention maybe I should do a Ouija board, a lot of the listeners went, Jesus, don't do a Ouija board. What are you, crazy? But, and I'm being sincere here, Alice, if you're still at that abode, I'm sensing this could be a Halloween special. Because you know what? That time will creep up pretty soon. And hopefully by then, lockdown will be completely away and done with. We're meant to be completely done of it by mid to late June, I think. So that's July, August, September, October. So that gives us around 4 months then to plan coming round and, do an investigation in your clearly haunted house. What the F is that board about with pictures of the Virgin Mary on it? To me, I would take that to mean that whoever's lived there prior to you is aware that it's haunted to death, has sought some help, and somebody's went, you need to get the Holy Mother, get some pictures of her, stick him to the board and put it in loft. Because they obviously met a farmer for help. But no, that's terrifying. And I'm all about coming around to investigate once we're able to do so. So this is an exciting show, isn't it? We've got some actual movement on the cards and potential investigations to go to. So thank you. That's magnificent. Thank you to each and every one who sent in your stories this week. Don't forget, if you're sat on a story or you want to come on the show and actually discuss it, drop me a line. And the email address is contact@talkaboutghosts.com. And I will either read it out or get you on the show to discuss. So I think that's everything for this week. Don't forget, if you're a Patreon, you can hop over there now, patreon.com/we need to talk about ghosts, and you will have this week's paranormal episode where we're going to look at, so it's an interesting one. When people put on Twitter, like famous people put on Twitter, or people with good followers, hey, what's the scariest thing you've ever experienced? And people then start to say, it's this, it's this, it's this. We're going to go over some of them. And some of them are downright terrifying for whatever you can fit into 140 characters. Yes, short, sharp snaps and bites of terror. Anywho, if you're not on Patreon, I'll speak to you next Sunday. Until then, take care of yourselves and each other. Copyright Jeremy Springer, mid-90s style. And just all round be a nice person. Says, what's that? Where did that come from? Why did I say that? I'm sure you will be a nice person. You don't need some grey-haired idiot in Liverpool telling you to do so. Fucking hell, Kevin. You need to have a word with yourself. Thank you, Kevin. I will. Anyway, guys, tatty bye.